what's up, my noodles? No.
What was that?
Right? A little, little whip around. No, no.
That explains the first episode there that we saw last night.
That's real. No, it was good though. Welcome back to the Daredevil Born Again After Show. Obviously, I'm your host, Mr. Know-It-All. Joining me is my good friend Gonzo, best friend of mine. We go back years and years in this stuff. Comic books. We met at a comic book shop. So when I have said to myself, I want to start talking about some of this stuff, I was super excited. He was like, "Yeah, let's do it, man!" And I was like, "Let's go." So hopefully,
Was that me? Yeah, man, let's do it.
I love it.
I think it's got a Chris Tucker going on, man.
You're the best. Lean into it. I love it. Okay, so 2 episodes. I was shocked that we got 2 episodes.
Yes,
I wasn't expecting that.
great.
Literally midway through, you text me. You're like, "There's a second."
I was not physically ready for it, but
Okay, there's a second. Yeah, there's another episode. Rock on.
because I'm old.
Because I'm old. That's funny. So what? Okay, so what were some of your initial thoughts on the first episode, which is With Interest?
Okay, so with interest, I'm glad they started fighting again. Like I said in the previous after show episode,
Yeah.
I did like all the lawyer and drama and no action or very little action, and it was needed. Like I said previously, and I was ready for some fight, and that's what they gave me. They gave me some fight. It was a short, normal timed episode. It felt very quick, like the whiplash that you. It just
Totally. That's right.
it felt quick. I had to check the time, and it felt shorter than a normal episode. And maybe because all the action kept me engaged. I mean, that's probably what it was.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
So I was pleased with it. I was like, okay, good.
Right on. So this episode is what they call a bottle episode. Bottle episode, obviously, for everybody is. I heard a lot of people online this morning talking about, oh, it's a filler episode. It's this, it's that. Yes and no. A bottle episode means that normally this is the first episode that felt like an actual episode of television, like an episodic episode of television.
Yes, it did feel like that.
Thrust into a situation, has to figure it out. It was jarring for some people when it comes to just how that fits into the overall narrative. But at the same time, I'm like, but this is what everybody's been wanting. You guys wanted normal TV type stuff, and this is a normal TV type stuff. But I also thought it worked. I thought it worked really well. He's in a very real situation they kind of set up already, which is that they need to get more money for growth and stuff. And then we got to see the cameo of Kamala Khan's father from Ms. Marvel, which I thought was cool. Yeah, and at first I was like, I think this is the guy, and you were like, it is. I was like, yeah. And I didn't watch the Ms. Marvel show. My daughter and I tried, but as I've said before in the channel, it wasn't my cup of tea. Not that it wasn't bad. It just wasn't for us.
Just leave it at that. Just leave it at that.
Well, because my daughter
defend
her exact words were,
she didn't like it either.
Well, she didn't. She said, I think they were aiming at a 16. She was 16 at the time. I think they were aiming at a 16-year-old, but they hit like 13. And it just felt a little too young for her. And I was like, okay, that's an interesting. Maybe that's why I couldn't really connect with it. But yeah, it was neat to see him. And even like the
men, we were kids.
I've seen it said that this episode is one of the few holdovers from the first version of the show, because as a lot of people know, this show was fully, basically almost completely done, and then Kevin Feige got his power back from Bob Iger, and Bob Iger said quality over quantity, and he said, "Oh, thank God, redo all this." And so this is one of the few. This is one of the few episodes that's almost completely intact from that.
Yeah.
And it did feel tonally different, but at the same time, I didn't mind it. I enjoyed it.
So that's the feeling I got too, and I was like, no. Yeah. That's the feeling that I got too. Was it felt like a regular television show, not like a filler, but it was. I mean, it was needed. It was totally needed. However,
Let me
it was.
make sure
Oh,
they know you provides. Make sure everybody
I'm
knows
sorry.
who you are. I want to make sure everybody knows who you are. So when I had a production company, he was one of my writers in the writers' room. So Gons knows exactly what a filler episode means, how those things work. So that's one of the reasons why I'm really happy that you and I are doing this after show is because I at least we can talk industry speak that makes sense. So forgive me, go on. I just want to make sure everybody knows when
I
you
still
say
talk
something,
in layman's.
you're not just Joe Blow who doesn't know stuff. You know stuff.
I talk like Joe Blow though. I'm like, what's that term again? I forgot. But yeah, it felt like a normal television show. It felt not like a filler because it was needed. It was needed to bring about the building up of them becoming full blown Daredevil and Kingpin. So
Yeah, good point. Yeah, it continued that journey that they had been on or that we've seen kind of alluded to, which is that both of them are trying to go different ways, but ultimately those lives are pulling them back in.
Yep.
So
they needed certain scenarios to bring it about, and the bank robbery was one of them.
Yeah,
and they made.
I liked it. I liked it. I love your shirt, by the way.
Oh yes, St. Patrick's Day. That's the Irish robbers. That was great. I kind of like
Those guys are so cool. Oh, dude, same.
Yeah.
Well, and I told you, I think I said this to you last night. Like that guy was real Irish. Like he's calling Matt a solicitor, which is clearly how they call lawyers overseas. And I was like, oh, he's like they flew them in. Like they're not. These aren't local gangsters or gang guys. They flew them in. No. I was like, okay. Yeah, totally. That was awesome. So then we get into the second episode, Excessive Force, which is where we full blown get an introduction and to Muse. And a couple of things for me happen. I want to talk about this first. The first thing I noticed was I had been worried about the Kingpin anti-vigilante thing. And it was because for me in the comics, it was a very different thing that involved a lot of the Defenders. It had Luke Cage, it had some other characters involved. And so this sort of said to me, oh, this is the direction they're going, which is he's lumping in people with masks all under that vigilante anti-mask legislation he's trying to push in New York.
Yep.
And Muse is now going to fall under that, and it's the excuse he needs to create this pseudo army of Punisher police, which I thought was cool. I was like, okay.
And so yeah, that's a good take on it. I like that. It, you know what that felt like? That felt like an issue of a comic book of who's Muse.
Yes.
Like some guy who came and gone. You know, I was like, okay, on to the next issue. It was like they used Muse to be the breakthrough. You know, like in Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man comic books, right before Carnage came about, they used Shocker or whatever. Not Shocker, but he was blue and black with electric. I can't even remember his name, but it was just some.
Not Static Shock, right?
Was it Static Shock?
No, Static Shock is a good guy.
No, yes, exactly. He had a staff. He was black, blue lightning.
I know what you're talking about. Yes, yeah. Eric Larson introduced him.
So he's
in that. Yes,
and it was like, okay. I mean, this was good, and then all of a sudden you see Carnage in the jail cell after that issue. You know, meeting up with Cassidy, and so that's what this was. This was Muse, the villain, right before the big villain.
Yeah.
And so it felt like a comic book issue.
It really did. And what I loved is that one of the things I loved was they didn't over romanticize Matt making the decision. He's sitting there. He's realizing he needs to do something, and he didn't sit here and like go to a church and bellyache and pray. He just literally goes, "F it," and I'm like, okay. He literally just said it. I was like, okay. Goes up there, get this thing, and next thing you know, he's on the roofs. And I was like, right on, man. You've had enough build up. Let's just go. And they
just do
did.
it.
And I was really happy we finally got Daredevil in Daredevil. So it was good. And then he goes.
For me, I was like, I know it's for the television show and time purposes. I was like, man, how did he find him? How did he find Mew so fast?
So the idea
That was
I think
terrible. That was a
I do
terrible
agree.
phase that he had in the
Very
sub.
contrived. Very contrived. But because immediately my comic book loving brain and comic book movie and comic book TV loving brain does what we do. We fill in the gaps, even though they we're like, we gotta make it make sense. It's gotta make sense somehow. And so I immediately was like, oh well, he keyed in on the girl's heartbeat and but I'm like, how did he hear her so far? He's not Superman. That's the one
That's
thing
why
I do think that,
the maze of the subway must have been really small.
dude, right? Well, I feel like they've been trying to they've been pushing the boundaries of his powers just a tiny bit.
Yes.
He's supposed to just be he's supposed to be extra sensory, but not super sensory. Like he's not like I can hear someone's heartbeat from a block
He's
away.
not like Superman,
Like
where he can hear.
Superman can be above the city and pick out Lois Lane's heartbeat.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, that's not who he is.
That's not Daredevil.
Literally, no. He should be
The whole
he should be able
picking
to.
of the lock was rational, and
I loved in the previous episode with the vault.
yes, on the previous episode when he picked the lock, that was believable because of his heightened sense.
That reminds me, I think they did a comic once. What if Daredevil was a cricket criminal or something? Should totally. Or what if you use your powers? That's like an alternate world right there where everybody's using their powers for bad. Because you said,
What
no,
if-
I have powers. I must be a good guy. And it's like, I don't know, man. I think a
They've
lot
done
of
it before. That's why you have Bizarro and the other Supermans and
be real with me. What would you do if you had Daredevil's powers? I don't mean blind. I just mean like if you could all the thing, hearing and all the stuff.
I don't know. I'm not a chisme, so I wouldn't care.
You may have to explain that for everybody.
So chisme, it is just somebody who likes the drama.
There you go.
Likes to listen on into conversations and get the tea. I'm not the Gonzo Gazette. I really don't care.
I feel like the most honest I got powers and then started doing stuff is that movie about the teleporting kid with Christian Hayden from Hayden Christensen from some Star Wars, where he can teleport.
Yes.
Leaper. I think it's called
It's called Leaper. Was it? No. Yeah, it's got to be something like that.
Whatever. Anyways, in that movie, he gets powers. What's the first thing he does? Robs banks. He's like, I'm gonna go look for. Can I see? We're inside the vault. Okay, cool. And then he's just like, I'm like, that's what I feel like. That's the most honest use of powers.
Nightcrawler stuff right there.
And shit.
It's like in and out. Nobody, no foul, no harm. No harm, no foul.
For real. What did you think about the fact we got to see White Tiger's niece again?
It was part of them. It was just
a hook.
It was just a hook so that he can become Daredevil again.
Yeah.
I mean, there was no reason for it. There was there was no reason for it, but it was just part of getting
other than for her
become Daredevil.
Yeah,
it enhanced
to tell him off.
Right. It enhanced his purpose and our purpose. It enhanced us. Like, oh no, that's his niece.
Right. It gave us a point of connection. I get you. Yeah, I'm with you. It didn't do much for me either. Other than
same thing with the bank robbery with Kamala's father.
Yeah. It was to give you sort of
which I think was nice. Yeah.
It was a nice Easter egg. But yeah,
what happens is that you wouldn't have cared so much.
I agree. I do agree. I don't know that
it's like all of a sudden. Check this out. Hold on, because all of a sudden it's like if Kamala's father died, right? Now you're thinking, okay, so what's Kamala gonna do? Are they gonna bring Kamala in now and blah blah blah?
For real. Oh my God.
So the hook was there, and that's what it was. And that's the niece. It was just to get Daredevil to where he needed to get to. She was getting him there.
That's fair.
Go ahead.
No, I appreciate that. No, I was thinking that for me, the daughter served, or the niece rather, served that purpose that you just said. I think that when you start to see Wilson Fisk starting to get frustrated with the kill, because remember, so in the episode, and again we're talking about it, they discover that the paint being used by this artist, this extra vigilante masked artist named Muse, it's got human blood in it. And it's funny, Fisk at one point gets real mad and he uses this as the springboard. He's like, when the sanitation department figures out that we have a serial killer before the police, there's a problem. And though it sounds harsh,
I did think about that too.
And did you notice the head of the sanitation was the guy who had been in the bank?
Yeah,
I think that was I think that was just to give us, it's a small world, not, I don't know, there was a thing. I think it's just like, hey,
either that or they just world feel like okay, another person.
exactly. They're like, hey, day player, you want to be in the next episode? All you gotta do is walk in, put that Richard found, you're done. Good? All right. Lunch, an extra $300. Rock on. So
Exactly, bro. That's
and you get to have a seat.
No, I was like, really? Analysis, material analysis, chemical analysis for the paint that you couldn't take off the wall? You couldn't just paint over it? You know,
It started and stuff like that. I was with you. I'm like, that seems awfully advanced
like,
for
on.
Joe the
I mean,
cleanup.
whatever. Let's keep the story rolling.
And the thing is, with the way his prison, he's like, yeah, so we tried the normal stuff like high power pressure, it didn't work, and then he's taught, and you're like, where are you going with this?
It's like, really? Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I know people like that.
No, same.
That wants to tell the whole story. They want to get you there. They want to tell you how they discovered what they discovered. You know,
Right.
or else they wouldn't feel and understand how you felt when you saw this.
Right. I need you to know what I was thinking, and you're like,
what I was thinking and what was going on in my brain when I found out that the paint was blood.
isn't that crazy?
It's crazy. Oh my God.
So then Wilson has the files. He's like, here's all the guys that I want us to use. And the commissioner's like, these are some pretty bad apples. What's going on?
Those are not even, those are a bunch of douchebags.
They really are. They're really rough. And sure enough, man, he's arming them up and he's like, you have to go fight the element, vigilante masked element where it lives and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, rock on, dude. You're literally creating your own personal army. And they're a task force. He's created a task force, which I was like,
you know what I do like?
What?
When he fought.
Oh, yeah.
Hold on. When he fought the bank robber. I'm talking about Daredevil. I'm getting to a point here.
Yeah, dude.
You see, I'm getting to a point here. You know, when he was fighting the bank robber, I realized that he that he was getting in some good shots, the bank robber. Like he was, Daredevil wasn't completely flawless. He got, the bank robber got some good shots. He heard him, like that. And so when I saw the vigilante group of a bunch of regular cop dudes, I was like, okay, I see. Because if he was Daredevil that just kicks everybody's butt, then those guys are nothing to him.
Right.
Yeah,
I know. I like to
show that people can get some good shots on Daredevil because he really is. He's just human that could take a beating, and so it makes you feel like, okay, this might be a challenge.
What I love about that stairwell scene that you're talking about is that he's got to do it quietly and fast. So they had to.
Oh, that's stairwell. Yes, exactly.
The sound mixing was great because he's having to be quiet the whole time, and then ultimately, even when the gun falls, he's got dude locked up, and then he catches it, and I'm like, okay, I see where we're doing.
They were good. I mean, they gave me what I was looking for. I mean, these past two episodes were great, but I wanted to see this now.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm done with that.
Part of the story.
It is part of the story, and I'm not saying that it's separate. I'm just saying I don't need another episode of it.
Well, for me, I just think
I like
love the
those
fact
two
that that was-
episodes, and I don't want them to mess it up and be
Yeah.
the next episode again. And I'm like, no, it's time for him to fight. He is Daredevil.
I'll revisit this idea when we get to the last episode and talk about the final finale of the series of this season. And that's that I feel like Disney, I don't know that Disney needed to go the long way around. And I think they could, rather than just jump in and give us what everybody assumed this was going to be, which is the next extension of the Daredevil, they were like, he has to have something traumatic happen so that he's not wearing the costume, and then we get that character tension and arc of him building back up to wearing it and being. I'm like, why? Why did we need to wait till episode 6 to suddenly have him be Daredevil again? I don't know. That to me I believe that was a tactical error and a lack of creativity on how to just jump in.
I think they did that also in the first original one. Remember?
That's what I'm saying. Like, why did we?
I mean, in the original Daredevil or Netflix Daredevil, it took him to the end of the freaking season to actually put the helmet on it. And I always say that. That's my one complaint. Is like, why did you wait so long? It's like they did a whole pendulum thing too. They took forever to get Murdoch to put on a helmet. No. I'm thinking of something else. Scratch that. I'm just thinking about like other TV shows, not just Disney, but other TV shows. Like in Halo, in the first episode, he removes his helmet. And I was like, it's like the pendulums are just like, it's like, dude, in the middle, just come on, man.
Well, I knew we were in for something this episode because this episode 6 started with the intro. There was no cold open. And as a result, I was like, oh, they just want to get the intro out of the way. They're like, you're going to need this whole story wall to wall. Let's just go. And I liked it. So anyway, yeah, man. Any other thoughts about these two episodes? Are you looking forward to what's coming?
The Fisk fight. The Fisk fight alongside with their Daredevil fight. I like the two going together.
Yeah,
the two scenes, back to back, both of them unleashing their rage back to back. Did you see the part where he ripped his suit?
Yes. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, it was good. It was good.
And so there was, and I was noticing that with Fisk. Remember, I mentioned earlier in other episodes where it's like, what's he eating all this dainty food for? Then when he goes down with Fisk, dude's got a goulash happening on his plate with sausage links and wine and so I was like, okay, so he's gaining his weight back. And so in that last episode, his jacket rips, okay, I see what they're doing. He's buffing up, he's getting muscle and fat at the same time, So I was like,
well, I love when he throws the axe at dude and he's like, he unbuttons his jacket and he's like, let's go. And I was like, okay. Yeah, man.
It's all Salty's fault now because I just now see sugar.
Totally for Men in Black, yeah.
The great equalizer is sugar.
Dude, Vincent D'Onofrio is a gift. He really is. The guy. And the other thing is, I've never seen somebody get so into the role. I don't just mean on screen. Like, he's online supporting it. And I know they pay them sometimes to marketing, but he's been talking about Daredevil and that role for so long. Like, he'll engage with fans about it all the time. I've never seen him shy away from that. He's never once been like, oh, well, yeah, it's a acting job I do.
They're talking about Cox?
He's very good. No, Vincent, well, him too. Charlie Cox also, but I'm talking Vincent D'Onofrio.
Oh, D'Onofrio.
Like, I'll follow him on
D'Onofrio.
And
yes.
Yeah, and Vincent D'Onofrio, he's always, even before they brought him back for Hawkeye and stuff, he was very much like, it's one of the greatest roles I've ever done. I've enjoyed doing it, and everyone's like, well, that's an actor jockeying for a job. Whatever, man, he's good. He's damn good at it. Let him keep doing it.
It is. Well, it sounds like he means it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Like,
all right, well,
like a Ziegler.
Any other thoughts you got?
No, I'm good. I'm enjoying
there you go.
The show. It has its quirks and everything like that. So,
right on. Well, there you go. Now you know. If noise half the battle, you have to know it all yourself. Welcome, guys, again to the Daredevil After Show. I'm enjoying it. We're going to do this again next week. And my review will follow later today of the episode. That's where I give my normal kind of beat per beat and then and the rating and whatnot. But yeah, man, if you're enjoying these after shows, you want to see kind of more of this kind of style content from Gonzo and I, let us know in the comment section. I know that I enjoy doing them. And I can tell just by the watch time and engagement you guys are enjoying watching it. That makes me very, very happy. So I will talk to you guys very, very soon. Never forget, everyone loves a know-it-all. Bye, guys.